Wife versus baby mama. What are your thoughts on that? Is there a difference or no? Let's talk about it. So, guys, welcome to Big Sister. And as I mentioned in the intro, what are your thoughts about baby mama or being in a relationship, having a baby versus wife? Baby mama versus being a wife. What are your thoughts about it? There are some people I have just uh, was listening to a conversation where the overall notion was it doesn't make a difference. There's no difference. As a matter of fact, the conversation was more like it's better because here you have wives who are still being left, who are still going through things, whose husbands are abandoning them and their families. And there are men who are unmarried, who are taking care of their families, who are doing the right thing. So the whole notion of a wife versus a baby mama is overrated. So what are your thoughts about that? Does that make a difference to you, or you think it doesn't? Well, in my opinion, this is going to depend on the couple and what is going to be working for them. Now, I grew up seeing my parents married, raising children, having a family. That's what I have known. I myself follow that same pattern. Children in the marriage, all of that, mom, dad there. That was what I was taught. Now, my marriage ended, but I would not say, oh, it would have been better off if I was just a baby mama, or it would have just been better off if I just had these children and never got married. I don't think I will ever feel that way. The marriage did not work out, but in terms of having my children and taking the steps to be married, I'm not going to regret that, right? But there are some people who this works for them. Cristiano Ronaldo, very famous footballer. He's been in a relationship, has his girlfriend of many years. He treats her very well. I forgot what her name is, Georgiano or Georgia. I can't think of her name, but they have children, the house, the land, the cars, the airplanes, everything that's his. She has access to it. He sets her on a pedestal. As far as I know, I have not heard of any scandals where he is bringing anyone to her, and he has the utmost respect. There are other relationships like this, and there are men who may have these relationships. Now, the conversation that I was privy to was by a person who has a lot of material assets. So the thing that I draw from that is possibly this these group of men who may do this may feel that I want a child, but I don't want to risk marriage, or they just feel that they don't want to ruin the relationship by seeing each other all the time, or this may be an agreed upon arrangement because the woman feels the same way and it works for them. Believe it or not, there are people who are like that. But I think there are only a select few of people who may have this, and normally, let's say the women who agree to this may themselves have some material wealth and assets, and they may say, I don't want to change my last name. I don't want to give up the things that I have. I like things the way they are. I don't want to have a marriage. Believe it or not, there are women who they think this way. They're satisfied with it. They're happy. They will say, I don't fit the traditional mold. But in my opinion, taking all those aside for those who are saying, hey, that works for me, I think most women who may not fall into these categories, I don't know how they will feel or if they're actually happy being a baby mama versus a wife. Why do I feel that? Let me give you my position. My position is I feel that being a wife carries a lot more weight. It gives you a lot more recognition than if you are a baby mama or you're dating this guy but you're just the mother of his child. I think in terms of most things, when you are a wife or a husband, when you're the spouse of someone, you are immediately recognized by the law, you're easily recognized by society, the way you are, the doors, if you want to say that, open, if you want to call it that, just the way people are going to deal with you is different. There is a certain there are certain courtesies that is automatically allocated to you as to a woman, as a wife, than what is going to be given to a baby mama, if you want to say, or a woman who's carrying the man's child. For example, if something were to happen to the father, the wife is automatically going to be given that phone call. She's going to be the one making decisions on a lot of things. But, we know there are some exceptions where there's some other legal roundabouts that's been done. But traditionally, and most times, there is no questioning her. She is going to be the one that is the decision maker. She's the one that's people are looking to make the decisions and the moves. She is the one who makes these arrangements. She is the one who is going to be at the forefront of most things as it pertains to her husband, to the children, to anything emergent. So in something as simple as an emergency room visit, a lot of times, unless there's just nobody else there and no one else available, they're looking for next of kin. If all the family shows up to the emergency room, they are going to be looking for next of kin. If his mother's there, she's going in before the girlfriend. If the sister, brother, blood relatives are there, they're going in before the girlfriend. The only thing, or baby mama, the only thing that may change that if that man has some kind of power of attorney or special power of attorney that she happened to have at that moment that is up to date and the wording is just right, and there's no clause or some roundabout way that it can be overridden, the family can override it, she is not going to be able to even make decisions in those scenarios. And it's something that people don't think about, but very simple things you cannot do on his behalf, on that man's behalf at all, because you are not his wife. There are just certain decisions you're not going to be able to do. There's certain things you're not going to be able to sign off on. You're not going to be able to walk into any establishment and just do certain things without them saying how you related to him, and that's just not going to happen. Another thing also is in terms of just how people will perceive you. Yes, you and that man may have some understanding of who you are to him and who he is to you, but when you go out, there's something very different. And when you're being introduced as what, let's say he's a businessman, he's going to introduce you as this is my girl, or this is my girlfriend. He may say my wife, but you're not really his wife, because in these business establishments, if he's a businessman and he's in a professional environment, if he says this is my wife, the first thing that's going to come out of his colleague's mouth is, oh, I didn't know you got married. When did you get married? You did not even invite me to the wedding. Everyone's suddenly like, oh, wow. And that's not going to go well when he's going to say, oh, well, no, I just say that, but she's really not. That is not going to happen. You may get away with that with, like, someone who's a non-professional who could say, yeah, I got wifey over there. You're going to be wifey, but you're not the wife. You're not his wife, really. So we think about the introductions. There is a certainty, there's a confidence you have when you're just walking in and the person can say, he's saying, this is my wife. This is my wife, Monica. This is my wife, Arlene. This is my wife, Denise. And then versus, oh, this is my girl, or this is, the mother of my child, or he just calls you by your name. I also feel and believe that there's nothing really as, I think, as women, we can date, you can go out, have a good time. You can have a lot in common with a man. You can have a lot of physical compatibility. You can have the best sex. You can have great conversation, great chemistry, his mom, his family. You're going everywhere with him. But it's really quite an experience when a man chooses you and wants you to be his wife. And the reason why this is a huge deal is because with men, dating is easy for them. Having sex, for most of them, it's easy. Having a baby, anyone can have a child. You see that. Whether he's a virtuous man or a man of poor character, that the intimacy followed by the marching soldiers that makes its way up and fertilizes the egg. That's not something that takes a lot of effort. As a matter of fact, it's fun. The process is fun and it's passionate and it's amazing. Okay. But that's easy. You can have wonderful conversations with a man, but he can compartmentalize you. Very much like the Sterilite 3-drawer chest that you see at your Target or Walmart or wherever you get them from. They may have one drawer that has a pencil, one drawer that has the construction paper, another drawer that has the arts and crafts material, but they're separated. So a lot of women can say, I've experienced the fun with a guy, the chemistry with a guy. We can go out. We had a wonderful time. We vibe. We talk about this and that. But many women can also experience all this fun and vibing and passion, and that man still will not commit to you, or that man will not put a ring on your finger. Because men, as laid back as they are, when it comes to actually choosing you to be their wife, that is not something they're just going to do. Even if you want to call that man a dusty, even the dustiest man, from the most professional, well-bred man to what you're going to call a dusty man or the man of low character, you're still not going to get that man to pick you for marriage unless he really wants to. So there is something it's a wonderful feeling and experience when a man actually goes beyond the norm of dating and just flirting and just sex and texting and vibing with you to choosing you. And when he recognizes in his heart and his mind that he wants to spend his life with you, it takes something really, is something that's happening in the heart and the mind of that man to say, this is what I want to do. And then gets on his knees and he proposes and declares to the world that this is the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. And then you get to do the whole planning of your wedding and all of these things, whether it's going to be big, small, intimate. There's something that no matter how convenient and cool it is and easier it is just to be a baby mama, I think a lot of women want to experience that, even if they convince themselves that they don't. As I said, there are some women that they absolutely do not want that. That's understandable. But a lot of times it can come from just being jaded. Sometimes it's just they don't want to be bothered. They have assets, things, they don't want to go through that. They don't want to get hurt. But a man is never going to make that move unless he's convinced in his heart that this is something that he wants to do. To say, I choose you. Of course, we know marriage there's always a gamble with it. Sometimes it works, everyone lives happily ever after, and other times it does not. But to say overall, you see, marriage is sucking, you might as well be a baby mama. Not really. Because the experience of a woman has with her husband has nothing to do with the entire institution of marriage, but her experience with that man. Because just as much there's a deadbeat husband, there are wonderful and supportive husbands who are there for their families. The same thing, someone may say, oh, look, this being I'm having a wonderful time with my baby daddy. We're not married. We have this freedom. He treats me right. Look at all these things that I have. But everyone's experience is not like that. And we do know, and you can think of some horror stories that you may have heard, where the baby daddy or the man who's supposed to be responsible he's not responsible. He's absolutely irresponsible, and it's a horror story. So it's not the baby daddy thing. Some women's experience with the baby daddy may be horrible. Someone, it may be wonderful. He's there. He is the best. And the same thing with a husband. He could be the best or he could be the worst. It really boils down to the type of man that he is, and also the woman who we choose to be with. Because yes, a lot of times, yes, the husband or that man who's the baby daddy can hide his true nature, and you don't know till later. But 9 times out of 10, there are signs, there are things, there are warnings, but it was ignored because the happily ever after was wanted more than the facts. So my overall is some things work for some people. I think baby daddy versus husband really depends on that experience. It's not a matter of, oh, be a baby mama because being a wife sucks. Look at what these husbands are doing. No. If you're a good baby daddy, let's say, and you're being wonderful to her, then what's stopping you from being a wonderful husband? A lot of times there's a reason why. That man may love you. He may truly desire you. He enjoys that, but at the end of the day, he's not picking you. He's not willing to take that extra step. Now, they may say it doesn't matter, but if it didn't matter, then it wouldn't. If it doesn't matter, then why not put a ring on it? Well, because it does matter. And most people know that marriage is a serious thing. So he may have his reasons. Not wanting to get his assets mixed up, not feeling like he's ready for taking that step, not sure. She doesn't want her money getting mixed up. She doesn't want to be married. She doesn't want to change her last name. Everyone have their own reasons. But in my opinion, and the way I look at it is, I feel when it comes to if I want to choose to be having been a baby mama or being a wife, I would rather choose a wife simply because being a wife, you are, as I said, you're allocated a lot more. You have a lot more respect. It carries a lot more esteem to it. And yes, marriages can end and things can happen. So imagine if you're in the sanctity of marriage and it can end, are you safer without a safety net? Because the way I see it, guys, is very simple. You can drive a car that's insured, and you can also drive the exact same model car, nice asset, nice, it's beautiful, make, model, everything. One is insured, one is not. One has full coverage, one does not. Okay, one may have some liability, one does not, or none at all. The cars are going to get you to the same place, give you the same comforts, all of that. They may get the same care, same treatments. They're going to the dealerships, they're getting the same type of maintenance done, all of this. But the difference is when something happens, one has coverage and one does not. And you, if anybody's ever driven a car or had a car that you don't have any insurance coverage, at that time when that accident happened, rather than, yes, everyone is normally shaken up, but there is some level of assurance that a person has when they're insured to know, hey, they can say this is my insurance, this is going to be taken care of. They know what their deductible is going to be. They're going to have the rental. This person is going to be taken care of. Versus when someone has no insurance, what's normally happen? Somebody's running and escaping in the bushes. There are all these costs and fees. And then at the end of the day, someone's going to jail and that car is going to stay there and got to go to the cluck mechanics because there's no coverage at all. And I think that's one of the differences with it. And I'm not knocking anybody, guys. I'm not trying to say baby mamas are less than wives. That is not the argument here. I'm simply just wanted to get y'all's opinion about that. Haven't heard this conversation where it was more of, hey, husbands are screwing up anyway, so I can make, I'm going to esteem you more as a baby mama than the wives that's getting hurt anyway. So what are your thoughts on that? All right, guys, don't forget to like, share, and to subscribe, and talk to you soon. Bye.